And we're off. Hi, everybody. Minute late just because of stupid computer. And nobody's here yet, so I can say, welcome to Rick Snider's Washington live chat, where you get the whole story. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and especially hit the thanks button below. There. So, here we go. Steve is in here already, and Steve, I saw you watching John Kime's podcast last week on his YouTube channel, Two Timer. But I watched a few minutes of John's show to see what it was like. So I can go back to you. Why, Steve? Why? Yeah. Oh well, here we go. And we're off. I don't expect too many people here tonight, just because everybody's mad about everything. So, yeah, so I showed my book. He didn't tell you how to buy it. So everybody bought it off Amazon instead of Monumental Thoughts. And Jeff Bezos makes more money than I do that way. All right, Marvin's here. Hi, Marvin. How's it going? Thanks for coming back. You know, I don't know if you knew Steve was watching some other one. That's okay. If you got to watch somebody, watch John's. There's both my books up there if you're watching this on replay later, too. They still sell the 100 Things Redskins book too, or the Commanders book. You buy the Commanders book for me there, I'll sign it for you. And if you want to read about the good old days, well, both books are almost the same thing, but one's got a Redskin helmet on it. All right, so DK something or other couple. Sorry, I had a dental thing this week. I don't talk real well anyway, much less when you've got stuff going on. I hit my first Social Security check the other day. I thought, oh, this is awesome. And at breakfast, I broke a tooth off. So two things old people do: Social Security, teeth. You know, so it's like, well, that didn't last long. So, all right, Hank Hartman's got a lot of questions tonight. Great, I have no answers. Someone told me I should do this, so whatever. I'm going to try it as we start off here. We're going to talk about a few things tonight. Is Snider really out after the story you heard about this week? Who's to blame for all this problems around here? Coaching. Oh, we're going to talk about coaching and the mascot. Do you want a dog or a hog? I don't really care either way on there. And Marvin hit the thanks button already. Thank you, Marvin. I appreciate that. It's how I do this show is off tips basically. So if you're out there and you want to be nice like Marvin, throw a few bucks my way. I always appreciate that. All right, we'll start off with Slam and Jam in 87. How could Dan Snyder entertain a possible regime change with all he has going on? Exactly. So let me explain this point to you guys. There's 4 things you need to do to make this franchise better. Number 1, get rid of the owner. And I know that's a big get. And what you saw in the paper, listen, I've been 44 years in the business. I can tell you, that's called a trial balloon, trying to see if they can muster up enough people in the NFL to go along with this. And they're kind of waiting for the reports to come out, but those reports can come out when the NFL wants. So if you can replace the owner with a new owner, then you hire a real GM. This team has not had a real GM since Charlie Casserly left. The GM hires the coach, and the coach picks the quarterback. If you do this in any other order, it does not work very often. And it's certainly not worked here. And a new coach, if you went with a new one next year, which I'm not sure is going to happen, but if you did, he's going to want his own guy. And so there goes probably Wentz, and then who knows with how. Coaches like their own quarterback, because quarterbacks are the guys that are going to make everything sink or swim. So they want to pick their own guy, which I can get that. So it's not a hard formula, but somehow this team Dan Snyder's never wanted to have a GM that really knew what he was doing. Serrato and Bruce, please. So Slam and Jam says firing Ron would be a big mistake. I think what the problem here is not so much with Ron, though I have some problems with that. Don't get in about the late flag. Philly ran to the line after that play, knowing they had to beat that to the red flag. They didn't care what they ran, just snap the ball, and then you can't challenge a play. That's what Philly did. It was smart of them to do that. I don't blame them. Did I bring my drink? No, I didn't. Okay. I'll have to stay sober. All right. So that's what happened there. So I'm not going to beat up on Ron about that too much. All right. So then a couple of things. The Snyder thing, they're going to hope to talk him into this and say, well, we have this. He was around when Milstein got beat on the deal. So Snider knows how this works, but he's going to threaten litigation. So, and the NFL is just trying to avoid that. So it's a little crazy on there. So Hilda Chunky Bombs was beaten out by my man Mike, who's monitoring this. Sorry, Hilda. The Wobo, give me one reason to be optimistic about the rest of the season. Well, it will end. How about that? I looked at the schedule. There's a few wins there, but I just don't see him being a playoff team on all this. Hank wants to say, why didn't Danny Johnson play yesterday? I don't know. Rashad Wildgoose looked lost out there. Yeah, man, that game. He'd never played, and they targeted him first play. Why not? That's what you do. And he wasn't very good, but how much could you expect out of him? Who picks the players on this team, Kevin asked? Ron Rivera. Yeah, he's got the two Martys looking for guys, but it comes down to Rivera's got it. Where Beathard had the right to pick the players, Gibbs had the right to play the players. But Beathard would tell him, here's the guys, you're going to have to figure it out. That's why I like a separation of power. I think you should have a real GM and a real coach and let them fight it out. And each will win some things and you'll be better for it. Certified yam inspector. Okay. Yams are okay. I believe Ron is just like Jeff Fisher. Only Fisher was slightly better. Oh no. It's kind of weird. I wrote a column for 1067 The Fan, Odyssey.com today, where I said Ron was the right man to choose, and now it's time for him to go. And both things were true. He was the right guy to choose. It worked out in a lot of non-win ways. But at the end of the day, those things are fixed now, and you got to win games. And I don't see this team progressing. I thought maybe they were a 10-win team in the spring, but after watching the preseason and training camp, I was really thinking it was like a 7-win season. I didn't see things that I needed to see. So that might be about where they are. McBruno, prediction, Chase Young will become a beast when he moves on from DC. Ooh, that's a mean thing to say, McBruno. We don't talk about McBruno or whatever that song is. My granddaughters could tell you. Okay, so DK couple, I'll skip. I wish the team hired a real GM. Yeah, they need that desperately. Who has their own power? It's not that Marty's not a real GM. It's that he doesn't have all the power that a real GM has. Mojo Daddy Music, a good culture starts from the very top. Very good. So, yeah, that's what I keep telling people. And Michael says the culture went from spoiled milk to spoiled yogurt. That's how I broke my tooth, was on yogurt. Who believes that? So that's why I talk a little today. I'm waiting. They tell me they can't pull my tooth for 2 months because they don't have room in calendar. Hopefully it doesn't hurt too much. Old people stuff. So let's see. Mascot, while we got a moment here. The dog or the hog? What do you guys want? I think the hog looks a little better just there. And the hog is part of the hogs. So you get something there. Personally, I don't even think you need a mascot. But if you're going to pick one, I guess I'd go with hogs in the end. I don't really care either way on this. So Santiago wants the hog. There you go. Kevin says the offensive line or CBs are garbage. Well, they haven't played very well. And, Schweitzer had a real problem. A lot of his snaps were low, which made it harder on Carson. Gave that extra half second, and they didn't have a half second to give on there. McBruno says pineapple on pizza once or twice a year, baby. Once or twice a year, you're just in a weird mood. I saw it in England when they had ham. They had ham slices like this big, but, this thick. It was very different ham in Hawaiian pizza over in London. Steve, hog would be a reminder of our O-line sucks. Well, you get Norwell. They should have gone Flowers to Norwell. I think that's pretty obvious. Schweitzer was supposed to be the other guard, but now he's got to play center, which he's not as good at. Smack City 26, not to be confused with Smack City 22. Ron built a sorry excuse for a football team. Yeah, so he needs to go along with Steph. I agree. I mean, I think if I'd throw my money on the table, I'd say Del Rio's gone into the year to get another D coordinator for a year, and Ron stays another year. Bob Baker, my old friend. Sorry about the tooth. Yeah, thanks. He's going with hogs. Okay. Drunken Donuts. Ooh, got your message deleted. Okay. Yeah, Michael's hitting you guys tonight. Mojo, how can they expect us fans to buy in if that's the product they put on the field. Yeah, I saw a lot of people leaving at halftime. I went out and looked on the concourse, and just by the gate I was by, I'd say at least 2 dozen people left. So, so that's I think it was 60-40 Eagles fans at the start of the game, and probably 70-30, 80-20 as the game went on. I mean, you spend all that money, I'd stay for the game, but that's just me. Is Dax playing next week? Asked Paul Green. Yeah, I mean, he had, I think, 6 snaps yesterday on there. Bazooka, Eric Bieniemy would be a great head coach. I'd be willing to take that chance. I mean, he knows offense. I'm surprised he's not a head coach already. What's the issues with the defensive line? Scheme or technique? Asked Hank. Scheme. No more scheme. I mean, these guys are decent players. Matt Coons. Oh, God, what does he want to know? Bob, my number one fan. All right, we're in agreement on this season for sure. Bob and Matt don't like each other. They're both friends of mine. I just find it funny. They're both good guys. Marvin left at halftime. Wow, dude. What happens if you get back to your car and then you're blocked in and then you can't get back in the stadium? Ooh, I always wondered about that. They don't let people tailgate now during the game. Supposedly it's an NFL edict. No tailgating during the game for security reasons. I think it's because those 10 cars got burned in Miami, which I think happened the first game at FedEx too. Somebody left their grills. Somebody put their hot cold grills in a trunk, and it caught on fire, and then all the cars around them caught on fire. And can you imagine coming out of the game and your car's destroyed like that? Wow. Matrix, did the Martys eventually fire Ron? No, that'll go the other way around. No, that ain't happening. Kevin, we made the Eagles D look like the 85 Bears, 4 or 5 wins. I still think it's more like 7. Mojo, what's wrong with Cole Turner? He missed the preseason with an injury, and now he just can't get on the field because all the people got in front of him, which is too bad because I think he's a nice player. But by losing the preseason, he really lost his chance unless someone gets hurt on there because the other guys are doing okay. Rodgers showed up and grabbed that spot. Let's see. Marvin, I regret getting season tickets first and the last time until something changed. Honestly, I just buy them. I would buy them a la carte each week. What games do you want to go see? Why pay all that money for season tickets when you're not going to go to all the games probably? And you can get them cheaper online. They were a little pricier for Philly, but listen, things like Atlanta, I could probably get Atlanta tickets for $10. Some of those games. Tennessee, probably get that pretty cheap. Any movement on a new stadium? Asked me Bruno. Not a word. I think Dan's had a lot of other things on his plate, as we know. John, any chance of picking up Eric Flowers? Well, he's out there. I wouldn't. But then that means that you were wrong to let him go. That's why they don't go back and get players like that too often. They did with John Bostic, but as a backup. Kevin, this is only the 4th week, and fans want to get rid of all the coaches. Get your pitchforks ready. Well, I mean, it's year 3 also. It's not his 4th game here. It's his 3rd season. They're going to find a new center, asked Paul. They're going to go with Schweitzer for now, but, injuries happen. And, Wes Martin is the backup center who was with this team a couple years ago. So that would be their plan B for center right now. Bob says, did Scott call a bad game? Yeah, I think so. I think they had too many drops. When that pass rush is coming at you like that, go into shotgun and get the ball out of your hand as fast as you can. And you just have to do that and dink and dunk. But you can't hold it because look what happened. Wide receivers were covered the times Carson held the ball. True. But, Carson's got such a good arm. They want to go longer and make the bigger plays. But it wasn't going to work yesterday. And they should have adapted to that. Hank, is Davis going to be rushing the passer more? Seems a natural. Well, he's doing okay with it. They've picked up some things the last 2 weeks. So I would say yes. Marvin, Carson was holding on the ball too long. He played scared. I don't think he played scared. I just think he definitely held on the ball too long. He's done that all the time on there. So I don't know if you can see that, but HP says I need to buy a printer cartridge. Let's see. Steve, 3rd year of a slow start, and hearing Ron said they'll get better, it gets old. Yeah, it sure does. I kind of came to this decision a couple weeks ago before the losses that it's just not there. It's the juice is just not there. And on the whole staff. and saying patience and all that. It's a stalling tactic. Let's see. Mojo, not giving up, but Ron has way too much power. I think so. I think you should have separate guys. Any coach that has ultimate power, not many guys. I know what Parcells said about buying your own groceries, but I wouldn't do it. Do you see another 4-game losing streak this year? Man, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. Bob Baker said, yeah, 9 sacks. He's saying hi to Matt. See, some people like Matt. Matt gets me. I've known Matt since he was 5. We just did Seasons of Discontent. So that podcast is 15 minutes. It's up Monday and Thursday nights. So when this is over, Matt will have it up afterwards. Okay, Big Money Sonny. Hey, Rick, still licking my wounds from yesterday? Kicking them, or whatever. It's Dallas week. Let's go. I wrote last week that I think the Eagles are the bigger rival now over the Cowboys. Yeah, that's your dad's RFK rival. But Philly, I think, is the new rival. And players don't care. They don't care anymore about stuff like that. McBurnett says the kids go to school in Georgetown. Ooh, rich guy. Hey, rich guy, hit the thanks button. Any neat sites for them to see? Yeah, hit the thanks button. I'll tell you a few. How about that? There are a lot of historic homes in Georgetown. I can tell you where all the Kennedys were and stuff like that. Hit the thanks button. That's extortion. All right. If you sign a quarterback, ask Michael, holds the ball too long, you don't sign 2 scrub guards to protect him. Yeah, I think they should upgrade the guards. And, well, they tried to upgrade guards. They got Norwell and Turner, but I don't think they're any better than Sheriff and Flowers were last year. They're not as good as they were. Matt says our Seasons of Discontent podcast is being posted right now. It's got a whatever you call it in there, and it'll be up soon, for the public to see. Takes a few minutes to, I wouldn't say regurgitate, but that's not the word. All right, W4DXZ Signal Shack, whatever that is, says Butch is here. Based on the way they're playing, the Cowboys game could be another embarrassing repeat of last season. Yeah, I don't have a good feel for this one. I hate to tell you, I have a feeling Dallas is going to win this one. Paul, can Robinson and Chase play this Sunday? Robinson cannot. He's got to miss one more, and so same for Chase too. They have to miss 4 games, so they could be back by week 5. I don't know that Chase will be, but Robinson probably will be for week 5 against Tennessee. Bob asked, any truth to the article that came out? Several owners want Danny out, or is it just more speculation? I think it's people behind the scenes trying to warn Snider that they're mounting, but they don't have the votes in hand yet. I'm not sure they ever will. Owners don't like to do this stuff. But, with the NBA knocking out an owner, it came up more. But I don't see it happening today or tomorrow. But you never know. If the congressional report comes out, and it'll probably be out before November's elections, we'll see what it says. Can the offensive line be saved, Mojo Daddy? Yeah, and that if you do quicker pass calls, for instance, they're not blocking as long. They're not giving up the sacks. So, and I think Robinson's a better between tackles runner than Gibson, and that'll help some too. Mojo, can this offensive line be saved? Okay, I got you there. Okay, so let's see. So who's to blame on all this? Well, coaching staff more than players, but players got to play. And I know that you've seen a lot of little things from coaches basically saying, the scheme was there and somebody broke down. So they're basically saying, it ain't us, it's the players. Everybody knows what's going on. That's a quick way to break a locker room. Steve, I think Dan knows too much dirt on folks in the league to vote him. And that's what the NFL owners are worried about. There's a lot of dirt out there. Rich guys, they do all kind of stuff. Bob says, thanks for everything. Appreciate it, Bob. Paul Green, who would pick the new coach if Ron is fired? So as I said earlier, owner should pick a GM. The GM should pick the coach, and the coach picks a quarterback. That's how it's supposed to work. It usually works best that way. We got a smaller crowd today, I see, than normal. I had a feeling we'd have less people today. Just after that kind of loss, you want to go do something else. I haven't even seen House of Dragons yet. I do my 36 hours of football from Sunday morning to Monday night. So I'm going to watch House of Dragons when this is off. Do you think the team gave up yesterday? Asked Kevin. No, they tend to play better in the second half. So that's not giving up. But it's not being ready for the first half either. You got to both of them count. Hank says, do you believe the Commanders rescheduled really reached out for Garoppolo. Schefter says yes. Ron says no. That's obviously been leaked out of San Francisco, I think, with the Shanahans. And I don't know. Schefter's not my favorite guy. So he's usually right, but not always. So when Ron says I haven't talked to anybody, that doesn't mean somebody else didn't. But, so you play that game too. There's a lot of games that get played on that. Trust me, I used to do this all the time. Okay, certified Yam. Is that? Yeah, it is Yam Inspector. Okay, because, Thanksgiving's coming up. Do you think Ron keeps his current role until Dan comes back? Oh, yeah. And then nothing's happening without Dan doing it. But Bruno, was I Sonny or Billy? Both, because I used to be Billy's ghostwriter many years ago. So great guy. And Sonny and I became very good friends too for a lot of years. I miss him not being around. So I love both guys. And it was one of the great perks of being on the beat, getting to know these kind of guys. Mojo Daddy's hitting something. Mary Jo White shows up with something. Yeah, me too. So, okay. So time just flies by. Hey, if you want to buy the book, go to monumentalthoughts.com. 100 short stories about the Redskins, or I updated 5 of them. I put in 5 news stories for the Commanders book. I'll sign it myself, because I put it in the envelope myself. And I appreciate anybody buying it. You can go to monumentalthoughts.com and pay through PayPal. Is Carson the O-line or Scott Turner? Is it Carson the O-line or Scott Turner? I'm sorry, Paul. Commas are your friends. O-line, if you want to go there, but I would say Scott second, Carson third. But it's a narrow trifecta there. Nick, why are the tight ends not getting their numbers called? I refuse to believe they're simply not open. I think there's been a big infatuation with Curtis Samuel, trying to prove it. Oh, yes, he really is a good player. And not throwing to Terry as much either. And I think they should be throwing to the tight ends more. That's been a little bit of a surprise. So David Rogers says, hey, I appreciate it. Any chance Sean Payton could come up here coach in Washington? Well, he was rumored from Miami at one time, but they're 3-0, so probably not looking for a coach. You never know. Marty Schottenheimer was on TV 2 weeks before he was hired, said he'd never, ever work for Dan. And then there he is. So money talks, BS walks. So possibly. Bob Baker, have I heard if Norv's been around the facility to help Scott? He was, I know, in the preseason. I haven't seen him, but I haven't been out there much lately either. So I don't know. But I'm sure they're a phone call away on that. Mojo, do I think Sam Howell gets some playing time this year? Maybe. They're not going to change quarterbacks anytime soon, so it would take an injury there. When I saw Carson dive, fell a yard short of the cone, I thought of Taylor Heineke. That was like his trade play. He could always reach the cone. He was really good at that. So I don't know. If they're 4-11, do they give Sam the last game? Maybe, but I doubt it. Coaches like to win games. They don't like their one-loss record getting screwed up. Is Turner running the same offense as Dad ran 25 years ago? As certified? No, very different. The game is very different. Norv was good on tight ends, though. He had Steven Alexander and Jamie Asher. Those guys turned them into their best years. So Norv did like tight ends, where I think Scott likes more throwing to running backs out of there. All right, W4D says the season's early. Team's on top now. Could be on the bottom later. Sure, it's a long season, man. It's, who's playing. You stay in contention till the 1st of December, and then you try and really ramp it up. And that's who wins the Super Bowls, basically. Steve, Sam Howell might do well, or O-line's as bad as UNC's was last year. Yeah, because Howell got sacked. I see something like 41 times or something. They could use Taylor in the Wildcat offense, says Paul. Yeah, but they're not going to put Taylor out there because then that means Wentz didn't work. There's a whole lot of drama there, and Ron's trying to stop drama. And he was asked yesterday about it and just said very succinctly, no. And I don't think anything's happening for a while. They go lose, I don't know, another half dozen in a row or something. We'll talk about it, but I don't think so. Team came out flat past 2 games. I want some nasty, says Dojo. Yeah. I mean, Ron was a little testy today in the presser. So that showed me he was mad. So He's usually pretty good about not yelling at the media itself. I mean, Norv used to every once in a while Norv would start cursing at me and stuff like that, but maybe I deserved it. I don't know. But Ron's too smart for that. If this coaching staff was fired, which coach would you retain? Yes, certified. None of them. I mean, just because they come as a group. I like some of the guys on there. I keep Kerrigan. How about that one? All right, you don't ruin a future NFL quarterback by throwing him into unwinnable situations, says Michael. Yeah, I don't know. Ask Troy Aikman. Where did he go? Like 0-15 or something crazy that first year? That was ugly yesterday, says Robbie G. He says, hey, Robbie G. Are you like Bubba G's brother? If you know who that is. The Dallas defense has me worried for next week, says Mojo. Yeah, I'd be afraid. Be very afraid. Gabe, isn't it crazy we haven't had a legitimate attempted field goal? Yeah, is that right? I was trying to think about that yesterday. Well, he made one, and then they took it off the board. So, yeah, that is crazy. Now that you think about it, yeah. Any chance St. Juice takes Fuller's spot and Fuller gets moved to slot? Asked Hank. No, but St. Juice had a good game. I mean, he played the way that we thought he could. Did a nice job. Fuller, man, he just hasn't done it. He hasn't been as good as everybody thought he could be. Have I ever talked to Norv? Asked Paul. Oh, yeah, I was a beat writer every day for years with Norv. We actually were pretty good. I wouldn't say we're good friends, but we got along well. My friends are people who come to my home who know my family. These are people I work with. A little different. But we get along. That's not to say we don't. But I've always held that in sports. My home life's separate from my personal work life. And if you're really friends with people, you can't trash them if you have to. It's a lot harder. So, you do hold back a little when you like people. I'm sorry, I'm a human being. How many of the 9 sacks were, say, Wentz's fault? Haven't counted them, Nick, but I'd say at least 4. He's run into some of the season, too. Keeps going forward and right into people. Kevin, last time the Cowgirls owned our team. All right. So, since we keep a lot of our players from last year, Sunday will be ugly. Yeah, I'm not expecting good things out of this. Gabe, St. Juice, their best corner, and that's bad. Eagles made him look like a college team. Hey, you get sacked 9 times. Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised the number was 9, but yeah. Bob Baker, don't feel bad. Norv would occasionally cuss at everybody. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, Norv was a championship cusser all away from cameras and back in the hallways. And you know what? That's okay. Say what you want. What's be meant about it? I'll tell you what I want. You tell me what you want. And no hard feelings come out of it. I'm okay with that because you're a man enough to say it to my face. So, not like the internet keyboard cowards, I'm kidding. But I get treated much better than a lot of people do. All right. I'm friends with Andy Reid, right? W4? Well, yeah, because, here he is right now. Andy's on the show. Hey, hi, everybody. How do you, we didn't do very well yesterday. Yeah, Andy, you guys stunk it up, man. What happened to you? I don't know. Well, figure it out soon, Andy. All right. We'll see you soon. Andy, always wanted to be on my show. Who's the nicest Washington Redskins commander coach you ever interviewed? Probably Norv on that. I mean, Zorn was a nice guy, too. Michael, this franchise isn't smart enough to give Jim Lachey for Jay Schrader anymore. Yeah, that was a good one. They wanted to get rid of Jay. He wanted out. They got themselves a left tackle. Got hurt a little, but, good player. Good guy. Do I think the locker room's losing faith in Rivera, says Marvin. They won't say this, of course, and I don't think so yet. It's still early, but I know they're frustrated. Bob agrees with me 100%. I knew you were smarter than you look. Gabe, fire the entire staff. We need a good young coach. Ron has no energy. Here's the thing with Dan Snider with his coaching. If you go back and look at them all, every time he's gone opposite. He went from nice guy to tough guy, to nice guy to tough guy. Norv, nice guy. Marty Schottenhauer, tough guy. Steve Spurrier, nice guy. Who's after Steve? But I forget. But every time they swing the other way. So that would mean they go with a nice guy like Gruden, maybe. This time, like Gruden, he was a decent coach who got held back by Bruce Allen and Dan some. A lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Do I think Jay was a better coach than Ron? I think yes, on some levels. And I'm not here to trash Ron. I like Ron in a lot of respects. I respect Ron as a person. But sometimes, we're talking about wins and losses now. Okay, so let's see. I doubt the defense is paying attention to the single thing Del Rio says Michael. I wouldn't say that because you're going to get chewed on if you got to play your job and you got to do well if you want to stay in the league. They may fire coaches, but they fire players too. Jay Gruden didn't show much emotion as a coach. Yeah, he kind of bit his lip a lot, and that's a smart way to go, more or less, in public. You get in the back room, cuss all you want. Um, Bob Baker says, "What about bringing in Brian Mitchell as a GM?" Well, he certainly make them play hard, that's for sure. I mean, he knows the game. There's no doubt of that. He knows the game, but there's a lot of stuff with GMs and money and value. I don't know, Brian, how he would do with that, but Brian, uh, good guy, likes to win. He definitely pushed the envelope. Nick, I feel like Ron's purpose of taking this job is being overlooked. He was brought here to change the culture. Yes, he was, and he's done that. And so now the next job is to win games. Um, and I don't think they won't fire him before the end of the season. No way. I still think he probably comes back for year 4, but we'll see. Gibbs would be the nicest of coaches. Gibbs 2.0, definitely a very inspiring man. You could listen to him talk about God and stuff like that. Sometimes he would after Sean Taylor died. I could listen to Joe talk all day about heaven. Really amazing stuff. He was a little more intense, but never a bad person in the first time. Not a bad person. I have nothing bad to say about Joe. It's crazy how a roster's changed the last 3-5 years, says Gabe. But that's true of almost all the time. I mean, look at even New England, how much they change around. Nick thinks Ron deserves a year 4. If he does, he does. I just think you're wasting a year. I'm not sure Snider would have Brian Mitchell alone to do the job. Probably, Michael. He's probably right on that. We're about halfway through the show. If you haven't hit the thanks button yet, because only one of you have, throw a couple bucks my way. I appreciate it. That's why I do the show. Try and raise a little money, just make a little. It's not much, but I'm near retiring, kind of retiring age now. I'm just a pensioner on Social Security, so I need help. Could use it. So if you do, thanks. If you don't, buy the book. All right, because nobody else is doing this. Well, John is now, but the other guys don't. And the nice thing is I'm old enough now to be free to say whatever I want. Who's going to beat me up now? All right, let's see. What do I think this roster is missing the most, Mojo? Corners and depth at so many places. That's the biggest stuff. And I like use a guard. Can I go down the whole list? Yeah. Why do I think Greg Williams didn't get the head coaching job after Gibbs retired as certified? Didn't go along with Snider. Snider didn't like him. I think Greg was too big a personality for Snider, and that's why he didn't get the job. Does Tressway's leg give out for the end of the year? Asked Steve. Yeah, but he does a great job. He's fine. Gabe, it's sad because Wentz is a good quarterback, but the season won't end well, and then the carousel continues. Yeah, maybe. But you know what? Carson Wentz makes more money on a Sunday loss yesterday than I made my entire career reporting on the NFL. So I don't feel sorry for anybody. He's going to get paid no matter if the win or lose, good game or bad. He just made like, I don't know, $1.7 million, something like that. So more than I've made. So that's why I don't feel sorry for people like that. All right, year 3 of a rebuild, asked Pidge. Rob Rivera has regressed. Time to blow it up and start over. I just think you have to wait till the end of the season. It does no good now. And nobody good is going to come in the middle of the season like Shanny. Shanny waited until the end of the year. He didn't want those losses on his win-loss total. Bob's got to run. Come on, Bob. What do you got more important than this? Is something good on TV? And, oh, okay. And Marie said hi. Marie used to work with the team too. So tell her I said hi. Bubba G says, hey. Kevin Thornton, who's the best player on the team? Good question. I mean, you're going to see Terry right off. And I probably would stick with that. Um, Sam Howe, Big Sam, says James Fenwick. Well, if this guy would eat red meat, maybe I'd be a little more excited. Actually, I'm a big Sam Howe fan. I watched him in the offseason play, practices a lot, and I think this guy could be something. But he's got to be in the right situation. And throwing him in this chaos, not going to be the right situation. Who would I like to see buy the team? Asked Paul. Me, the new Snider. Wouldn't that be great? I just need to hit the lottery like 5 times. Washington, D.C. or the dog or something next week, James. I don't know what that is. Pidge, it's true to be a contender in the NFL, you need a young offensive head coach. I wouldn't say that exactly. I mean, Andy Reid's old as dirt, and he's around. What do you mean old as dirt? Ah! See, he told you he's old as dirt. Andy's so sensitive. People don't know that about Andy. No. Something to do with Cowboy. I'm not good on emojis when people do that, James. What happened Sunday was the play calling or something else? Well, the offensive line stunk, but the play calling did not react well to it. This team does not typically react well to in-game changes. I don't know if they're eating hot dogs at halftime or what. And I've seen, I wouldn't say that's every time, but I've seen Scott call a much better game than he did yesterday. All right, Gabe, they narrowed down the mascot's dog or a pig. Well, it's a hog. I don't know if there's a difference. So, yeah, OG, the O line is, I don't know why people love to use that emoji, but it's got to get better. Cosme's got to get better. I've been surprised he hasn't played as well. And Nick, can't throw Howe in this O line. Right, I agree with that. I mean, that's just bad. All right, James is asking, am I going with Cowboys or the Commanders next week's game? Much as I hate to say this, Cowboys. And it's down there too. Not that home field seems to matter up here on there. But, yeah, I would think that. The Cowboys are playing the Giants about now. So when I get off, I guess I'll watch a little bit of that. Santiago, there you go. Thank you, Santiago. There's somebody who learns how to hit the thanks button. Who's my favorite player on the team? My favorite player on the team? Wow, that's a good question. Because of COVID, haven't really had a chance to know players like the last couple of years because of restrictions. Finally in the locker room now. They're all good. There's so many of them are great guys if you get to know them. Really are. I like Tressway. Do know who he is, and he's a cool guy. But there's a lot of cool guys on this team. I think Charles Leno is a really cool guy. John Allen is a really cool guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit. But I agree. Like I said, if they just moved in next to you, they weren't football players, they worked at the power company, you'd like them as neighbors and all that, But but we don't get to do it that way. But I like most of the players. They're good guys. They're highly motivated just to get to the NFL. Nick Martin, will he be activated? Not yet. I think it would take an injury to get him up, but we'll see how it goes another week on there. But yeah, I like NFL players. Good guys, sacrifice a lot. I know they get paid a lot, but a lot of them really don't hold on to it much. So, I mean, Carson has to really do something dumb to lose his fortune, but it does happen on there. I'm not wishing it on him. OG, is Ron Rivera lost the intensity he had in Charlotte? Yeah, because you saw those fiery speeches in the past. We're not seeing those now. I don't know if it's something to do with the cancer. I don't want to speculate on a man's health like that. That's a big thing he went through. I used to be a real fire eater myself, and then I had a heart attack, and I kind of had to take it down a notch. So I know what it's like to have a major health crisis. Because I was at Redskin Park when I had a massive heart attack that kind of kills 19 out of 20 men. It happened 20 years ago at Redskin Park, and they saved my life. And, things change when that happens to you. And they thought I had a stroke earlier this year. That really made me change some things again. That's why I'm kind of looking to retirement, sort of. So I didn't have a stroke, by the way. It turned out to be a disc in my back that fired on some nerves. It was so weird. But yeah, it's the kind of thing, you don't take that for granted what it does to people. You don't think so. If you've ever had a major life crisis, you'd say, I'll be okay. Things are going forward. But I got news for you. It does change you. And hopefully for me for the better. So I'm not such a jerk. I used to be kind of a mean guy, but I wanted to be the best reporter out there. And you got to buck up if you want to do that. First place isn't for nice guys. How well did I do on the picks last week, Paul? Well, I still got my shirt. I basically broke even. I think I think it was 6, 7, and 1 going into tonight on there. Do I believe Montez Sweat is overrated? Ask Nick. Yeah, I know he doesn't have the stats yet, but he's doing okay. I don't have a real problem with that. See when Chase gets back. Oh, Steve threw me some money. Good. You don't have to throw it to John yet because he doesn't have a thanks button yet, but I do. So thanks, Steve. Glad I wanted to start. Me too. Man, it's scary when you can't move half your body there and you're my age and you think this might be it. Or, am I going to be crippled up afterwards? Strokes are nasty things. If you think you have something like that go on, get to the hospital as fast as you can because they have things that can really reverse it. My mother had one when she was in her 70s. And, it made a big difference with that drug. But I know a lot of people have had strokes, and it is a life-altering thing. So take care of yourself out there, man. I'm telling you. Take care of your teeth. Sins of your youth come back to you on your teeth. How many sacks will Parsons get on Sunday, asked Kevin. 14. No, I'm kidding, man. I don't know. 2, 3. It's hard to get more than that because then they start throwing an extra blocker at you. What makes a bigger impact when they come back, Robinson or Young? That was my poll question, Paul, a few days ago. Maybe you saw it. Personally, I think Robinson will have more of an opportunity to make an impact than Young. Okay, if the season continues in this fashion, says Desiree and Rob Eagle. I don't know if it's Desiree or Rob asking. Should we give House some reps toward the end of the season? It won't hurt, but I don't think it's vital on all of this because every year is its own thing. So I don't know that it really makes a difference. I don't know that Ron would do it unless there's an injury situation. And hey, we've seen the last few years when he went through quarterbacks like candy. Chase will help out Sweat, says Paul. Yeah, absolutely. You get them both there. But one time I was thinking, wow, could this be Man and Manly again? I don't think that anymore. But we'll see how Chase comes back. All right, OG, how is Sadiq Charles still on the roster? Yeah, some days it surprises me too. Gets hurt a bit. But he has a lot of fire in him. I'll give him that. Mojo Daddy, I'm just happy B Rob is alive and well. Everything else is gravy. Absolutely. Could have lost his life or lost his career being shot like that in a carjacking. Scary stuff. Carjackings are scary stuff because nobody knows what the other's doing. It's not like a stick up on a corner. One guy's got a gun, you gained every money. Cars are different. A lot of people get hurt like that. It's really sad. That's why I drive a 20-year-old piece of junk that no one's going to try and steal from me, knock on wood. Washington Football Maniacs just got my book. I'm excited to read it. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, the 2 books are there. I still sell the Commanders one. The Redskins one you have to get off Amazon because I'm out of them. They print on demand. But Commanders, I have some, so I will sign it and mail it to people if you like. So I appreciate you buying the book. Good Christmas present. Christmas only 3 months away. Better hurry up. Let's see. B-Rob attackers been caught yet? Asked OG. No, I'm really surprised. You have some pictures of them and such, but not yet. I'm really surprised at that. Paul says, favorite type of pizza? I would say deep dish, usually. And I like sausage and pepperoni more than anything on there. I tried And Pizza recently, which is in DC. I don't know if it's elsewhere. And I'm going to Pupatella's, if that's how we say it, Pupatella's, in Reston on Wednesday with a couple friends. So if you know Pupatella's, tell them we're coming and to comp me. But I heard that pizza is great, so we're going to try it out. I'll give you an update on that one. Steve, if the O-line plays every week like they have the last 2, how will play this year? Well, probably because Carson will get hurt. They keep hitting them 9 times. Frank, do you see any ability to improve the pocket protection going forward? I think so. I think you could also get the running backs to be better blockers at times. Maybe B-Rob can do that more as big dude. And you maybe have another tight end. If you have to do this, You limit your options, but it protects the quarterback. So sure, why not? You know. All right. Well, we got a few people on here. Good. We got another 15 minutes. 15 minutes, still time to hit the thanks button. Man, do I sound like a whore or what? You know? But you guys aren't hitting the thanks button. So throw a few bucks in. Help an old writer out. Finally brought the smoke machine back, says Paul. Yeah, I put up a short video of it on my YouTube page. You can see like a 10-second clip. My biggest clip so far this fall, I did the duck races at the county fair. It's only 10 seconds long, and like I think something like 17,000 people have watched it. It's just ducks racing around. Haven't you people seen this before? Crust pizza. Yeah, I had this thing. I called them Crust Mondays. I did it more years ago when they weren't scoring and they were giving out 3 toppings for every touchdown. And I said, well, they got shut out, so it's Crust Pizza Day. You got to just suck on the crust and eat it. You know, they almost did it again yesterday. And I have that name grabbed on Twitter. I've never used it but I didn't want any of you to use it. And it's just wore itself out, so I don't talk about it much anymore. How does pressure work with the Commanders media team? Asked Nick. Are there still independent reporters those Mondays? Sure. You know, I mean, the guys are. You can't go in there and throw knives at the coach like you guys want us to. You have to work together. You have to ask your questions a certain way. Think of it like the Trump pressers a few years ago, where every media person was like, I'm a tough guy, and I'm going to ask you something you're going to yell at me about and not answer. What good does that do? You're trying to find out information, not show you're a tough guy. You know, it's stupid. So it's a very talented press corps right now. There's about a half dozen guys and gals who are very good at what they do. And I've been around the press corps and more at that park for 30 plus years. And I like this group. I think they do a good job. Who's out first? Turner or Del Rio? Asked Kevin. Del Rio. Certified. My daughter wants to be a writer. Any advice? Go into accounting. Just tell her to write all the time, and you get better. The first 1,000 stories suck. And I don't think I was a really good writer until my early 30s. Started when I was 18. So that tells you how that goes. You just got to keep working on it. Some people would say I still don't. Okay, Michael, the team makes me want to kick puppies. I like puppies. Hey, I'll be kicking puppies. Good Lord. Fat something or other. I don't know. There's several names in this thing. I think it might be too early to call it with the coaches, but Scott has been calling that would fit with Heineke and Howe more. Maybe, but he's got this guy with a big arm, so he's going to try and keep him. Steve says, never kick puppies. There you go. That's a bumper sticker for you. Paul, are you going to do this every Monday night? Yes. I do this every Monday, 8 to 9 Eastern. The only one I won't do is Halloween, not because I'm out trick-or-treating, but because I am moving the next morning. And I got a lot to do, I'm sure. So moving after 35 years, build a retirement home. It's a nice place. And where I can live my days out wherever. And so we're moving the next day. So I won't do Halloween, but I will pretty much be here every Monday, I would think, barring, good health, all that. Because I love talking to you guys. Paul Green, there were so many fights in the stands Sunday. Why? I actually saw about where 2 people were taken to the hospital. I saw one fight from my side of the stadium. I heard there were more, and that's typical of Philly games, So, they have fights every game, I guess, but Philly games tend to have them. Like I said, it's the rivalry. What happened to Clinton Portis? I asked OG. I believe he's in jail still for that fraud of, the health stuff with the NFL. So he didn't get a long sentence, but I think he's still there. Scott wants to know where am I moving to. I live in Southern Maryland, so I'm moving 15 miles farther out, a place called Charlotte Hall, where Sylvester Stallone went to high school for 1 year. And a military school, did something bad, had to go there. If I ever meet Rocky, that's one thing I want to ask him. What the heck? I know what he did. I don't want to talk about it, but penny anything. But I'd love to ask him about his time in Charlotte Hall. Also, as part of the War of 1812 skirmishes. But right now, there's probably anybody who lives there. But it's between my 2 kids, and got a great deal on a place with 3 acres. So you'll get to see my new studio. We're going to do something really nice. Going to do some different type of shows next year. I'll have more time. So we'll have some fun on there. I'm going to have 52 questions with God, stuff that you want to ask God. And I'm going to have reverends answering for God, because God, of course, doesn't speak to us on my show. I wouldn't expect that, but I think got some ones that the reverends aren't going to be able to just throw Bible verses at me. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope so. All right. Fat wants to know, Hal has a good arm. He needs to get rid of the ball faster. Absolutely. But Sam would be a better fit, more faster and more mobile. He's pretty good at doing that. Yeah, but he's going to have to wait his turn. Carson is slow, says OG. Well, I got that one, huh? Yeah. And he ran one time straight at somebody like, what'd you do that for? You got to be careful out there. I thought Hertz ran a couple times, second half, I believe, and I thought those were really good calls that they used. Those weren't scrambles; those were intentional calls, and that was good on there. We got about 10 minutes to go. Okay, so well, there's Beige. Hey, Beige, I think you've done before. One more Hovermails run. I was there the other day, Beige, and yes, I got a mixed cone. I think it's the third time I've been there this summer. Hovermails, for you, those of you not around, it's in Sunnybrook, Maryland, just outside the Beltway at exit. What is it? Exit 2? I guess I'm talking about 210. It's about 5 minutes off the Beltway. Makes the greatest soft ice cream cones in the world. I'll fight you on that hill. Been going there since 1962, which might explain some things. But I appreciate anybody buying me a large cone. That's 2 large cones there. So thank you, Beige. I appreciate it. Silly Goose, are players prohibited from betting on their games? Yes, absolutely. What's to keep them from telling their relatives to bet? Nothing. Inside info, man, I got to tell you something. The closer you are on the inside, the less you seem to know. So I pick games. I'm a best of 500 picker. Yeah, I know more, and yet I get surprised all the time. Wasn't surprised yesterday. I'll say that. I saw that one coming. But I bet there's a handful of games a year Washington plays. I'm get surprised on. That's the NFL. Robbie G, Ron can afford to show emotion. Yeah, cancer. Stress is not advised. Yes. Nobody wants to see anything bad happen to Ron. Fat, I believe the fan base, we all love Hal. Well, of course, because he hasn't done anything yet. You know, most popular man in town is the backup quarterback on Washington on there. So let's see what we think. What do you think about them going for it on 4th and 22 instead of kicking a field goal? Wouldn't have been for that. Has Joe Gibbs been around the Commander's Park since Rivera? Yeah, but not much. Joe's busy, and Joe's older, and he doesn't like to travel as much, especially with COVID. Doesn't like to be around big groups of people. Neither do I. So, you know, the mask mandate's been dropped a lot of places, but he'll be around occasionally. And, you know, Dan calls him for advice. So he still has an influence in things. How many years does Wentz have on his contract here? 2 more after this year, Kevin. Paul, your pick right now for the Sugar Bowl. I'm sorry, for the Super Bowl. I'm going to say Sugar Bowl? I have no idea. I don't even know what it is anymore. I might say Philly. And I don't want to say Miami. So I don't know. Ask me again in a few weeks. How would we feel if Washington sent an offer to Sean Payton? Says Fat. I think most people would be happy with that. I don't think Sean Payton would take it. But Sean Payton recently said he was open to coaching again. He needed a break, and he's always done well. There's a movie out about him having that year off when he was sanctioned and went and coached a youth team, and it was a really good movie. I could probably find it on Netflix. Paul, was Dan at the game? You know what? I can't say because I can see inside his box, but only the front row. I didn't see him there, and I didn't hear anybody talk about him. So I don't know. I know Tanya was, but Dan's keeping it low. He might have been in the back of the box. I got to ask some people I asked that about. All right, OG, I bet Joe will be there for the Commander's Hog reveal. Same day they honor that O-line, so sure. Robbie G, should we offer Sean Payton whatever he wants? Nah, I wouldn't do that. What he's going to want? Well, what do we care? It's not our money. It's Dan's money. Go ahead and spend it all. Frank wants to win his 52 things with God again. Probably not till the spring. because I've got to move and I've got to work on it. But I have been working on it, and I hope you watch it. It'll be fun. Be fun to ask. One of the questions, one of the verses says, and I'm not an expert on the Bible, but one of the verses says that they're better than sex in heaven. All right, tell me about that. What you got? Now, the Reverend won't talk about that at the pulpit. All of the questions I ask are not ones you're going to get on the Sunday sermon, but they're things that we'd like to know. I think we'd like to know if there's what's better than sex in heaven. I'm all for it. We'll see what happens. So, but supposedly you're not, we're deaf to us part. Does that mean it's not our wife anymore? Are we free agents? I don't. That's for the reverends to talk about. I'm just hopefully there. Let's put it that way. Hopefully I'm there. Why doesn't Washington make the Eagle game ticket where you have to buy a postseason ticket? That's interesting. Because they probably couldn't sell as many, and they made a lot of money yesterday. Silly goose. So sorry. All right, fat. Brian Flores, the best replacement for Del Rio. And Sean Payton would be the best replacement for Ron. But here's the thing: if you fire a defensive coordinator, and everybody knows that the team is probably doing the last year of the coaching staff, you don't get the top guys. They'd rather sit out than go 1 year somewhere, look like a crap, get fired. That doesn't help them any. Paul wants to know, would I go on a book signing tour? Not anymore. Because if you go there, there might be one, but it's not a bookstore. It's my cousin's gas station. Might be doing that. I did it last time. I know it sounds crazy, but it was the best book signing I've ever had. She knows how. My cousin knows how to turn out the crowd. So maybe there. But the bookstores, they make all the money. I don't want them to make money. I'll sign your book. And if you send me an email, I can personalize it for you. But other than that, I don't know why people care. Okay, Robbie G, it's referred to as bliss in the Bible, translated from the original Hebrew. Okay, like I said, I don't know everything about this, but I know how to ask questions on all of this. I actually teach a class online, how to ask great questions. It's for school kids. I teach on OutSchool. If any of you have kids that go on OutSchool, you can do it by Zoom. I've been teaching the last couple of years, U.S. history mostly, but I teach them, I had it today, how to ask great questions. I teach the kids how to ask better questions in class. A lot of kids are nervous, or shy, and I kind of talk about that. It's a life skill. But I do a lot of U.S. history too, and you can only be up to 18 to do classes. So, all right. It's 3-3 in Dallas Giants. Okay. Yeah, that sounds real interesting. So, yeah, who cares about that? All right, last call for sending money in to me. I know all of you really want to, and you don't want to see me broke. Nothing worse than an old broke sports writer, and I've known quite a few. Luckily, I'm not broke, but we can all use money. So if you enjoyed the show, please do it or buy the book, at Monumental Thoughts. I hate doing this. Why don't we utilize the hurry up offense? I don't think they're capable of it in the end. Michael, Casey lost to Indy. Yeah, I didn't have that one right. Let me ask. Andy, what happened to you there? I'm not saying. There you go. He's not saying. What was the mood in the locker room? I was kind of watching coach and all, so I didn't bother. I'm a little bit on COVID stuff. I don't like to go into locker rooms much because I've learned locker rooms are a terrible place to get quotes. I mean, you do what you got to do in life. And I spent many of my life in locker rooms. But most of the time, what are they going to say? We got to play better. It's better to talk to guys like on a Wednesday, Thursday. Anyone check the weather report for hell and for freezing warnings in hell? Well, some people believe that hell is a cold place. Robbie G, he purchased a book and tip. Now that's a winning person out there. Thank you, Robbie G. Fiddle and Mike, I'm sick of the Carolina connection. Yeah, me too. Me too. And let's see. Okay. Michael, before I forget, I have a rather large hurricane headed directly for me. So if I have power, I'll be here Monday. Yeah, good luck with that, man. I live outside of D.C. We're thinking the rain is going to be here this weekend. How much? Not sure yet. But we get hurricanes up in Washington. We usually don't get them full on, but we get them. And So I'm not looking forward to that either. And at least the game's not here, so that helps. Going all. Let's see. Oh, my buddy Matt says Seasons of Discontent is now up on YouTube. So if you want to watch when we're done in a minute, you can go there and watch us for 15 minutes with Matt. Matt does most of the talking there. All right. Robbie G says, I've been reading Rick's article since I was 12. How old are you now, Robbie G? About 15, 16? Please don't tell me you're 70 and old gray hair. You know, when I see guys that look even older than me and say, I've read you since I was a kid, oh, Jesus. But I have been doing this 44 years, so it does happen. Am I picking any long shots this weekend? Don't know. I don't pick the games till Friday night, and they're posted on Saturday mornings on YouTube and Twitter. Rick Snider's Washington on Twitter. So I just wait until Friday because so much can happen. You're talking about, if you're talking about horses, I'm sorry, Paul. No, I don't think so. Don't think so. All right, so gosh, Robert G, you've been reading me for 40 years. All right, well, thanks. If I worked for the Washington Post, yes, Marvin, I did for let's see, what was it, 6 years as the sports columnist for the Post Express, which was a daily subsidiary of the Post that they gave like 175,000 people read it on the subways and all. But they closed it down and then the pandemic hit, and so they had to lay us all off. So I did work for the Post, but not in the main section. I was like a bastard cousin who wrote on the side. But they treated me well. After all the years competing against the Post, it was a weird thing, I have to admit. And I went to go see the old building. They were like, why? I'm like, I've been outside of this building for so long fighting with you guys. I thought it would just be like nice to see what happens that I've been hired. And I appreciated it. I got laid off by the Examiner before that, so I moved over there. Now I'm at 106.7 The Fan. And so hopefully you guys listen to all the shows. I go on some of them when they ask me. Love this team, but I'm really thinking about picking another team, says Kevin. No, Kevin, you're not allowed to choose team. The only way you're allowed to take another team is if you go live in another city and want to be part of that culture. So if you move to Nashville, you have my permission to be a Tennessee fan. But otherwise, no. You have to stay here with the rest of us and suffer. That's how it goes. My grandkids, they're going to be Washington sports fans. This is where we're from. You don't want to be a bandwagon or somewhere else. I think the Star is the only one that closed before you could work for them. Michael, I actually threw the Star on porches for 3 years, so I sort of worked for them. I just didn't write for them. But I did work for them and the Daily News here in town. Do I ever talk with Tony and Mike at the Post? Don't talk to Tony. Mike, I haven't talked to in a long time, but Mike and I are friends. It is with guys. You don't have to see people every day, still be friends. Marvin says there can never be another bandwagon. That was some of Tony's best work, the bandwagon columns on Tuesday. Tony's very funny. Tony could make people laugh in print, and I've been doing the same job for a long time. Not easy. Not easy at all. Tony was really good. Fiddlin's been a fan for 50 years. Wow, you're bad as I am then, because I started in 69 watching the teams. That's 53. So I still got you. Freddie asked how the Commanders are doing. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why I care. I get it, man. I really do. How much? Losario asked me, how much you bet when they play Dallas? That Ron Rivera single covers Parsons and you think Ron's frustrated and seems out of sorts. There's some truth to what you're saying. Marvin, been a Washington fan since '98, since the kindergarten. Jeez, kindergarten. Okay. Hey, enjoy your youth, man. Trust me. I would much rather be 30 again than 62. Getting old sucks. If it ain't some doctor's appointment or somebody messing with you, it's something. Did I ever meet Tony McGee? Yeah, I've met him. I see him in the press room once in a while. Not close friends, but he seems like a great guy. I just haven't had a chance to really get to know him. Would I take a Super Bowl appearance or Dan selling? Asked Mojo. Wow. Okay, there's my. Maybe I'll make that the question every day. I have a poll question up on Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube. I'll make that tomorrow. What would you rather have? Well, first off, I think it has to be a Super Bowl victory, not appearance. Or Dan selling. I would take Dan selling. Let's see. Maybe Dan would like to move, find a new team. Yeah, listen, get a couple billion, go retire, clear, go to the Med, retire on your yacht, and buy an English soccer team and have fun with that. When will Rivera start calling plays? Asked Marvin. I doubt ever. He doesn't really do that anymore. Michael says, last chance to buy Rick a pizza? Yes, at Pupatella's. I'll use your money. Actually, the two guys I'm meeting with, I told they got to buy. They probably won't, but whatever. So last call, yeah, we're a few minutes over already. See, bonus time. That's why you throw in the tips. Joe says, I do a great job. Thank you, Joe. Quoted the book, but I'm out as a Washington fan. Can't take it anymore. Now, you have to stay here, too. I'm sorry. You have to stay here, too. If I have to stay here, you have to stay here. That's how it goes. You know, is Doc Walker fun to talk with? Fastball. Doc is everything you think he is on the radio TV. Doc is a lot of fun. I covered him as a player, I think it was last year. All right. You know what was fun as you stand between Danny and Jumpy Gathers. And Dave Butts and Jumpy Gathers. This is Michael. They were huge human beings, man. And along with Dexter and Joe Jacoby. Huge. Super Bowl losses sucks. Hey, Steve. Yeah. I mean, this team's only done it. Well, they lost twice. Yeah. I remember the first one real well. Love to see me on the John Cobb podcast, talk history of the team, says Asani. John has me on once in a while. It's been a little while since last season. But John and I are best friends, you know. John's like my brother. So if he ever asks me to come on, I come on. Rufio or something, Ralphio, throwing some on, saying thanks for the videos. Yeah, I'm glad you guys do them. I do 2-minute videos. Beginning in the evening, usually around 7, 8 a.m. and p.m. So thanks for watching. Marvin threw some money in. Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it. And the great Watubi has always been a very generous guy. Thank you for your donation to let Rick eat dinner tonight. You're tired of Ron, but you have young players still learning. It's the same excuse for 2 years. Exactly. It's getting a little old. You give a guy 2 years, but the third year, you can't use that anymore. Did I go to the Super Bowl when they beat Miami? Asked Paul. No. Let's see. No, didn't do that one. That was the first one of the wins. I did the last one, and I helped out on the second one, but I didn't go to the game on that one. I was a young writer back then. I have a pecking order. But I did get to do the third one in Minnesota. And I did 5 Super Bowls overall. James, Rick, you need to get together with some of the young commanders on YouTube and spread your wisdom. Well, I'm here. Yeah. So if somebody needs some help, I'm glad to talk to them about it. I've talked to many a young commander player, too, about things in life when I was a beat guy more. Explaining paychecks and what FICA was. You'd be surprised. The conversations. Now I'm not just their father. I'm almost old enough to be their grandfather. So I get treated well. I get treated with respect as my age demands. And I treat them with respect. That's the key. If any of you are old, I used to have to work. A lot of times I work with editors. My editor now, I don't think is 30. Treat them with respect. They will treat you back. Don't say I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. That does not go over well. So if Ron Snead takes GM away from him, well, technically Marty's the GM. So I don't think there's a way around that. Michael, I think wants my wisdom. I don't know. Maybe wants my money. Don't know. All right, let's wrap it up because I want to go see the House of Dragons or see if it's 3-3 Giants and Cowboys. I don't know how long I'll watch that on there. How's Joe Jacoby doing? Doing well. He's coaching, I think now, and kind of just not worrying about the Hall of Fame. 6-3. Well, who's ahead? Great Watubi. Defense needs to take personal decisions from Ron. Hassani. Yeah, probably. All right, last call. Read, buy the book. You can read it, but you can read it at the library on there at Monumental Thoughts, and I'll sign it for you if you like. I appreciate anybody buying it, and I appreciate everybody coming to this on everything. So it's all a part of just wrapping up a career and talking to fans and telling you whatever I know about things. So there you go. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. I'll see you guys again next Monday. And during the week, we have these things out there too. Every day there's a couple videos. Sometimes I do local DC stuff when I'm just walking by. So thank you, everybody. Bye, Asani. Bye, Marvin. Hey, you guys stayed the whole hour. Thank you. Steve, thanks. I don't want to see you on Kimes tomorrow. Paul's there also. Thank you, Paul. And if any of you are just catching the end of this, you can watch it on YouTube, replay. It should be up in a few minutes as soon as it finishes justifying or whatever it is they call it. I forget. In there. And we'll see what happens this Sunday. Hey, maybe they win. I don't know. I give up anymore. All right, guys. See y'all later. Bye. Bye, Paul.